Hey, we're here. It's been a big day for the Packers. We were just here last night, but we're back again because the Packers are back at it. And it's the bros talking about all the right moves the Packers are making here, Ben. They snapped some more on us today. We thought this stuff might happen. There were rumors with Rasul Douglas that get it done with Rasul Douglas, but did it happen? It did happen, and for pretty darn cheap, if you ask me, right?
Dude,
Tell me.
I'm starting to like this team.
You're getting excited. You're getting excited about this team, aren't you?
I just can't get over the fact that they're bringing back all the guys that we said are good, except for Lucas Patrick, which is a big mistake. But you gotta, it can't be perfect. And I think the Bears signing for Lucas is actually better for him, anyways, because he won't get jerked around by good old Steno. But the fact that we got Douglas back, Campbell back, Tonyan back, uh, first and a second round pick for Devontae, got rid of dead weight in Z and Billy Turner. This team is looking good. This team is looking like they're bringing back the right guys, the good players. Douglas for 3 years is pretty nice, and I'm feeling Jarvis Landry. I heard a rumor today that the Browns are trying to bring him back now that they traded for Deshaun Watson. But I would like to see some Jarvis Landry. And because Tonyan, he might not be back right away for the start of the season, so we still need some type of a possession go-to guy in third down. But every move seems to be awesome. This is starting to look good.
It's kind of crazy when you look at Douglas because, I mean, I understand, we understand what happened with him last year. All those teams cut him and passed on him and kicked him around. The Packers got him, but then he ended up making the Pro Bowl in just 10 starts, right? Or 10 games?
10
Not even
games.
10 games. Yeah, he didn't get to start all those games. And then made the Pro Bowl and then came out. And again, he was a third round pick. He was a pretty good prospect coming out of college, all of that. Got the size, got the instincts, showed you everything he could do. So you knew the price was going to be there based on performance, but it you were hoping it would be a little lower. And then you had mentioned to me, hey, there's a lot of cornerbacks in this market, and that helped keep his price down. On top of the fact that he wanted to come back to the Packers because they were the team that gave him a shot last year. After all those other teams were like, no, 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 you're not good enough. So I think a lot of things came together to make this as cheap as it is. But 3 years for 21 million. There's some incentives in there that if he meets, then he'll get it. Could be up to 25.5 million that he could earn over the 3 years. Which you hope those performance incentives he makes all of them. I hope he does. I hope he gets all the money because that means he's playing awesome.
Yeah. Either way, we watched a guy who changed the defense, who made it possible that even though we lost the number one corner in the NFL, our defense was still better somehow. And now, if we can have Jair and him and Eric Stokes in a second year all together, you're talking. I mean, I can't think of 3 corners better than that in the league right now.
Oh, wrong
one. And that's amazing. I can't get over it. I just can't get over it right now because it's almost like last year when they signed back Aaron Jones. I just didn't think it was possible. And getting back Douglas and Campbell both is monstrous as far as what the defense could possibly do. Now there's work to do. Defensive line needs some help, but otherwise our defense is looking pretty dang about the same as last year when they were a top 5 defense in the last part of the year there. And the offense, of course, is going to need some weapons and some help on the O-line. But we've got a lot of picks to deal with it, and we got a little bit of cap space. So there's really only one thing that could screw this up. And it's a $152 million guy who could screw this up if he doesn't run the offense right. Otherwise, everything else looks pretty dang good right now. Also, all the good teams are in the AFC. Like, everybody's going to the AFC. Even Watson gets traded to the Browns. It's like he stayed in the AFC. Like, there's nobody in the NFC.
That's probably one of the reasons Brady came back. He was like, well, maybe I just get to another Super Bowl pretty easy again if the Packers don't put it together. So we'll see. One thing that's interesting about that dollar amount that Rodgers has. It's like you said last night. I didn't even look at the Cobb, what Randall Cobb's actually going to make. But, oh my God, he's making like peanuts, right? And he had to take a pay cut for them to figure out cap stuff. But Aaron Rodgers was like, give me as much as possible. I know. And that's his best, but that seems weird. Anyway, neither here nor there. Again, the move with Adams made all this possible. So at least they got that one done, which freed up, made all these things happen. Otherwise, if you had stuck all this money in Devontae Adams, this deal with Douglas would have never gotten done. You might have been able to sign Campbell, but you would have had to pick and choose like some of these other guys. Now you have the opportunity. You get Tonyan back. And the other part about the defense, before we switch back over to Tonyan, let's finish up on the defense. The other part about the defense that you mentioned is they caught their stride as they got along, right? Because a bunch of those guys were new. Campbell was new. The system was new. Douglas was new. Now all those guys have been there and been together, and now you're bringing them back to a familiar defense, familiar people. You would expect it to be, hopefully at that same level or maybe even an enhanced level if they can figure it out. And Gary's motivated. He's come back. Preston Smith's coming back, feeling good. Like, you got to feel like this might be the first time in a while that the Packers defense could not just be a splash play defense, but a kind of a shutdown, really good defense, like a defense that gets a bunch of 3 and outs, a defense that stops drives, right? That you don't just stop drives by getting a turnover. They can just shut people down. And we haven't had that kind of defense in a while.
All we need is a little help on the D-line. And I don't know how to do it. I don't know if there's enough good guys in the draft to grab. And I don't think they can waste money in free agency on it. So they have to find something in the draft, I think, for that.
Players that are going to play, right? Like this.
Yes, they need this.
You can't
Moody needs to start drafting guys that are going to play on their first contract.
Right. You can't do what they've done and get enamored by certain things and do best player available. We need best player available that we can plug in and play and put on the field. This has to be, if any year you're going all in with all these other things and all the contract finagling, if there's ever been a year to be like, okay, look, we're taking the best players that we need, then this is the year, because these guys got to come in and be an impactful rookie class. We need impact from the rookie class this year. They got to fill holes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm excited. I think we don't really have too much else to talk about. It's good. Like you said, without the Devontae trade, I don't think Tonyan's back. I don't think Douglas is back, and we don't have extra first and extra second. So that's 4 players at least that can help this team win now, as opposed to just one guy taking up 28% or whatever, $28 million. I mean, for anybody who's still freaking out about the Devontae deal and saying it was a dumb move, it's not a dumb move. It was a good move because the money was too much for us to afford. And also look at what it's given us back. It's given us back a top tier corner who's proved he can do every single thing on the field. And then Tonyan, who 2 years ago was the man, and last year for some unknown reason Rodgers kept throwing to Devontae. They never even used Tonyan when he was healthy. So that's got to change. And Rodgers is the key. He needs to change and do what needs to be done by a starting quarterback and throw to the guy that's open, not just throw to the same guy over and over. And now that guy's gone, hopefully it'll work. But we do need some weapons. I hope they don't sign back MVS because I don't think they need him. I think they can draft a speed guy. Screw it. But, man, Landry I've been watching a lot of videos on Landry lately, especially after last night. I'm feeling Jarvis Landry. I'm feeling him. I think he's a better possession receiver than Devontae Adams. Yes, I said it. I don't care what anybody else says. If Landry had as many targets as Devontae Adams has, I think he would have just as good a stats, if not better.
Well, I think if you look at him, he's better after the catch for sure.
Yeah,
right?
He's shiftier.
He can accelerate.
Better hands.
Better hands, accelerate, and I think he's a little bit better at keeping his balance, breaking tackles. So, it's like I said last night, Devontae Adams does almost all of his work before he catches the ball, and there's not a lot that comes after he catches the ball. So, it's a different type of guy. I think Landry could be a great find if they pursue him. I think they have the money now to try to pursue him. But again, those draft picks are going to be key. They got to be guys that are going to play. You gotta do it, Gutekunst, and we'll talk more about that as we get to the draft. Robert Tonyan. One last note before we sign off, because this is gonna be a quick one. Is that Robert Tonyan? This is kind of the last time. And the Packers got lucky on this one too. One, they got lucky that he wasn't utilized heavy and showing the same type of production early on, and then he got hurt. So based on those two things, they can get him on another one of these kind of 1-year deals that's cheap. But if he comes up and Rodgers starts throwing to him because he's one of the only guys he trusts right away, and he starts taking off this year, then he's not going to be cheap anymore. So, like right now, you got to put all the pieces together, and it looks like the front office is doing a pretty damn good job at putting most of the pieces together that they need to actually contend. And I didn't think that was going to be possible this year. I didn't think with Aaron Rodgers coming back at like $50 million a year, it was going to be possible to contend. But the things that have transpired this week looks like the Packers could contend and maybe finally get back to the Super Bowl for the first time in 12 years.
Well, they have to, based on everything they've done, because in 2 years, it's going to be a blow up.
Yeah.
So they've got to do it this year or next year, because that's, and not only that, Aaron Jones is probably going to be gone after this year.
Right.
This cap hit's way too high next year, and I don't even think they can even push it to the future anymore after that. So they're going to have to do it this year, period. And they're shoring up a lot of positions. They're bringing back a lot of good players that they've had. And now they just need to use these draft picks to fill starting roles or key pieces that will play a lot. Maybe a pass rusher in the second round or whatever, just to help out, because you can't just go with Gary and Preston and that's it. I know there's a couple good guys in there that have been around for a couple years, but whatever. I'm excited. Let's go. Go Pack. We're bringing all the guys back. My favorite Packer is back on the team. Douglas, let's go. We got Aaron Jones, my second favorite Packer. He used to be my favorite. Now he's falling down. Sorry, Aaron Jones.
Well, that's news for now. We will keep our eyes peeled, and if we got to jump on again because more stuff's happening tomorrow, well, that's what we'll do. Anyway, subscribe, don't forget, and here's your good reminder. Enjoy Hafen Bros long version or short version, and remember always. Tell me why,